From Transformers Age of the Primes, it is Prima Prime, the very first one to hold the Matrix and all that stuff. The first prime of Primus, pretty much. First prime of Cybertron, the first prime of Apophis. No, that's something totally different, but if you get it, you get it. So I got this wonderful toy, which is from the new line, Age of the Primes, and I am going to go through Prima Prime. I don't think it's Prima Prime. Prima Donna? No. I'm going to say Prima Prime. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. But we're going to go through this brand new Transformer and have some fun along the way. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'm Captain Guile. Welcome aboard. If you've been watching for a while, thanks so much for coming back. That is totally awesome. And let's have some fun. Be right back. So yes, I just got this a couple days ago. Haven't had a chance. It's been a busy time, guys. Finally, I get around to reviewing it. Some of you may have it already. Some of you may be on the fence. And if you're on the fence, be careful. You don't want to fall off the fence. But from what I understand, this figure, which it's a very nice package, shows the different forms on the back, shows the golden age primes on the side, and, Prima basically getting his mat on the other side. You really want to look at the barcode. But from what I understand, this is the very first prime, but it does come with a shitty piece of paper, and it comes with instructions, and it comes with a matrix and a sword and a figure. So the whole, I would say, mythology behind the Transformers has had various permutations. The G1 cartoon had one particular origin for the Transformers. The comic book had another. Transformers 1 had kind of another. Not exactly sure, but they're going with the Primus thing, which was something that Simon Furman actually came up with. But the original 13 Primes, that is something that kind of came later. Though there was some representation of this character in the original G1 cartoon, and there you can see Prima. Plus, there were some other versions, but they were like Titan Masters of this character. It's a very cool sword. Thunderbots. Oh, okay. But there you see Prima Prime with his weapon. And yeah, the 13 Primes are definitely an interesting concept. The fact that Megatron is a really big fan of Megatronus and actually took his name from Megatronus. Pretty damn cool. I realize a lot of the mythology was in comic books that I haven't read, which is unfortunate, but I will get to them, I swear. I'm having a hard enough time keeping up with the Skybound. I read some of the Dreamwave in the beginning, and then of course they had all that new stuff. Tons of it I have to go through. It's not easy, but there is Prima on the Turntable of Doom, and we'll take a look at the various sides, and you can see there's a windshield on the back. Apparently changes into some kind of almost like lunar rover. But a couple things before we get into the posability is this sword, this weapon, can actually be stored over the shoulder. Now, to be honest, because it's not in a sheath, it's probably a lot easier. Could he reach back there and grab it? Yeah. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to him the day he held aloft his magic sword and said, "By the power of Primus," and he became Prima Prime, master of the Cyberverse. I don't know, I'm just mixing my metaphors. But he could kind of draw it, and since it does not actually have a sheath, it's not a big deal. Having a very long sword on your back with a sheath, it's kind of hard to draw, so that kind of works. Now, also, on the sword itself is a matrix, which can come off. Now, this matrix is not gold, it is silver, with a very nice gem in the middle there. And you can open up Prima's chest, apparently, and use the power of the matrix to plug it in. Plug it in. And so now he has the matrix inside him. So I don't know what the advantage is of having it on the sword. Does it make the sword wise? He's the first Prime, so he hasn't exactly had a chance to put a lot of wisdom into it. I'm gonna leave it in there for now. But yeah, that's pretty much his accessories. He didn't have Autobot paper. Now looking at him, and I think this is appropriate, he does not appear to have an Autobot symbol because his existence predated the whole Autobot-Decepticon conflict, so he doesn't need a symbol. He represented all Cybertronians, which is good. We need someone who represents everybody. But I'm going to remove this sword from his hand, and I do like the deco. It is a little bit Siege-like in the fact that it's got a lot of grooves and detail on him, but I'm very curious to see what his vehicle mode looks like. But before we get to that, we need to go over some posability. Now, I would be shocked if he didn't have ankle swivels or ankle rockers, or rockers are back and forth, I'm told, so pretty generous. And of course, the real test, millions of years before this person was even conceived is to see if you can do a full toes up Jean-Claude Van Damme. And it would appear to be not a problem. That is quite the toes up split. Now, two things that are here are these hip covers. So I'm not sure if they have something to do with the transformation or if they're just, to cover up sins, but you might have to move them out of the way for some of the kicks. But front kick, that is very nice. Back kick is hampered by this plate that's attached to his back, so no real kicking backwards. Side kick, and that does move the hip plate. He can do a really tall one. He can bend at the knee. It's actually a little bit more than 90 degrees. No defense, which is a lie, because there's obviously a defense, and they used it in Karate Kid 2. Now, does he swivel? The leg swivels somewhat. Turn it a little bit in, and you can turn it outward, but I don't see a full swiveling joint. Slight disappointment there. Twisting at the waist. Well, he can, but his back plate interferes, so you can't really twist too much. Can't go all the way around. I guess they don't make him like they used to. They make him better now, kinda. He's like a new old toy. The first Prime. Now, arms can go all the way around, can go off to the side. The shoulder kind of moves, so he's got shoulder covers, shoulder pads, the 80s, like the 80s million years ago. I wonder, does he have any type of ab crunch? Well, not per se, but he can kind of look up. There's a gap in here though when he does that, so it's not a crunch, but like an extension. Back to the arms, can bend at the elbow, and it's actually more than 90 degrees, so that's nice. Doo-doo. There is a swivel on the arm, so that's nice. That should go all the way around. And the head, of course, all the way around. Not a problem there. So, posability, there is actually a decent amount of it. And I don't want to forget the fists, because the fists do twist and the fingers do extend. Now, the sword comes apart very easily, I will say. The fingers do not extend out to the very uncomfortable looking stage. They actually just go out straight, but even with the hand open, can still hold the sword. The shoulders also move up and down a bit. I don't know how much they're supposed to. Part of that's probably the transformation, but he can shrug. But if you push too far, the back starts to come detached, and that's not good. So he does have a good amount of motion. It's a shame that there's no full swiveling on the legs, and the twisting at the waist is a little restricted, but still a cool looking figure. I like it. He should be cool looking because, he's the first Prime. All right, let's get him into vehicle mode. So there he is in his rover mode. Again, looks a bit like the lunar rover version of Optimus Prime. And I have stored the weapons. So the sword itself plugs in here, the blade, whereas you put the hilt underneath and plug it into one side of the wheels. Can't really see it, so it doesn't bother my lack of symmetricness too much. But he is a vehicle you have to try out. Rolling, not too bad. Seems to do pretty well. You can skid him out if you try hard enough. Probably not the fastest vehicle. Now, for those times when he wants to just, run somebody through while in vehicle mode, apparently you can also take the weapon and you can attach or not the matrix on it, but that plugs in to the front like so. I mean, he can roll and stab someone in the ankle. Not really fond of this particular configuration for the weapon. I would rather him just smash into whoever without using that as like a really weird looking lance. So in vehicle mode, not counting the sword tip, he's about 5 inches long, and the transformation is definitely clever. And I realize I did not measure him in robot mode, so he's going back into that mode. But once you transform him like once, really not difficult to transform him back. It's clever enough of a transformation. And by the way, when you look at the bottom, you would see his face there. You're not supposed to turn the head around, so don't do that. But there he is back in his robot mode, and I can gleefully report that he is about 7 inches tall. So a decent size, a little shorter than Studio Series Optimus, slightly taller than the original mold, this being the Walmart one, which happened to be nearby, and definitely a bit taller than the Devastation Optimus. Probably pretty close to the Earthrise Optimus size, which is over there somewhere, and I'm not going to get it right now, but slightly like a hair shorter than Soundwave. So I do think it's a great representation of a character that we really haven't had much cartoon style interaction with. Apparently he's the one who was fighting in the pit in the flashback during 5 Faces of Darkness when Rodimus went back into the Matrix and he jumped at the Quintessons and he got blasted for it. I mean, I guess it's self-defense, but you know, they were meanies. But yeah, I am liking this very much. Make sure he is fully compressed back together and he can do the shoulder thing. I don't know why, but he can do the shoulder thing. I don't know why they move. Not really something that I see there, but what might also be interesting is he can put the sword on his forearm and slash that way. Kind of a Siege Jetfire type thing. Not that Siege Jetfire had one of those, the toy, but did in the series. Oh, and he is subject to the laws of physics. So there he is. I definitely recommend him. I'll put a link in the description so that you can get him, hopefully still at retail at a number of places. And I'll also put an eBay link for if he's no longer available at retail by the time you watch this, so you can get him. But I like him. I think he's fun. And I don't know how fun his personality is, but he has the Matrix. So, you know, Primus thinks he's kind of fun. But if you're enjoying this content, by all means, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. That would be totally awesome. And I just want to mention, we have just started, I just started memberships. So you can actually support the channel and get some exclusive badges. We need stinking badges and emojis of some kind, I guess. And you will be the only ones that will be attending the members only live streams, which will be the first Tuesday of each month, starting in May, Transformers Tuesday. And you get to ask me all kinds of questions, some of which I'll actually answer. So definitely recommend this guy. But while you are mulling over this particular Prime, you can actually check out this one, which is Sentinel Prime, but the missing link version. Kind of neat to check out. And we will see you next time. As always, have fun and good hunting.